So in his research, Stanley came across an interesting thing that he puts in relation to these body parts that are almost composing a female figure. He thinks about this could be, the reason for this composer of the figure could be a longing that needs a kind of canvas. And so he's looking into similar stories like in art history, where we have Oskar Kokoschka, who was madly in love with Alma Mahler-Werfel at some point. And this relationship did not last long. She felt really imposed on herself and parted. And she actually apparently aborted a child she was carrying from him. And he couldn't get over that. So what he did was he commissioned, or he ordered a doll maker's skills to make a life-size doll after the features he had done, a sketch and even a painting. And when that was done and the doll was delivered to his house, he had his housekeeper dressing the doll up and setting it down for breakfast or into the carriage to go for a day trip. And so it didn't last too long. I think after a certain while, this doll was destroyed during a party by himself. But it's one of these cases where projection and longing and it's a substitute for something real takes over the emotions of a human being. Another thing he puts it in relation to is Joseph Beuys, the bee screen. And I don't know exactly why, but I would guess because of the connection to the beeswax and the honey. A lot of visitors ask about why is everything done here out of beeswax? Who was the guy who used 300, 400 kilos of beeswax to create these artifacts? Did you question yourself that too?
Not yet, but I expect I would have eventually. If
And I talked with Stanley, and he told me that when he went up to the Southern Highlands and actually excavated this enigmatic artifact, that he met a beekeeper's wife who was friends with Nellie, and that's the love affair of Ted Wilson, the creator of all these artifacts. And she was basically the link to the former life of this woman. And so they both, Ted and the beekeeper's wife, developed a friendship, and she supplied him with beeswax and probably also got him into the sensual, seductive quality of this material. So it's very unusual. You have all these sculptures and they are porous, and some are fine and some are really solid and heavy. They are all out of beeswax. Some with plant residues and with soil and clay residues, but in general, it's beeswax. So that is the bees queen. It's from 1956 here drawing, Joseph Beuys. And then you have Pompeii here, the excavation in Pompeii that was done around 1967. That probably just the human gesture of laying and cutting it up is reminding Stanley of what he found in the cave, this cavity that is chiseled into the sandstone and was filled out with beeswax and then removed, and the positive of it we probably see here around in his body torsos. Is there another relation? This is the map of the Southern Highlands, and a photograph that Stanley is not giving away, so it's just a photocopy of a photograph, very bad one. And then he had the textures that are all relating to the textures of the beeswax artifacts that he found here. But those textures are appearing in nature. So we have the tree here, and then we have the artifacts, and it's kind of counterparting them. And this information here is about the history of this building, just the heritage inventory forms. I think that's all.